What is up, YouTube? Welcome back. It is Baseball Nerd. Today's video is just going to be another free agent recap. I've had some technical difficulties, so I haven't been able to get out these free agent reactions right on time with the signings, and there's been some big ones happening the last several days. So we're going to break them down, how much they got, where they went, how long they're going for, and then just looking at the teams and what I think it will do for those teams. So we're going to get right into it today. We left off with Michael Brantley signing and all those dudes on January 20th. So we're going to jump into January 21st. And that day we had Jason Castro, ex-Angel catcher, going to the Astros on 2 years, $7 million. And I love this signing for the Astros as much as I don't like the Astros. You know, Jason Castro's a good lefty bat, has some pretty nice pop, and plays well. I think pairs up well with Martin Maldonado, who's a righty and very good defensively. Castro's not as good defensively, but he has some good pop, and he's lefty. So not too much money, not too many years, and just a good overall signing for the Astros, in my opinion. Moving into January 22nd, we had a decent amount of moves here. We had two utility guys off the board. Jurickson Profar goes to the Padres on a 3-year, $21 million contract, and the Red Sox get Kike Hernandez for 2 years, $14 million. And I'm going to break down Kike first because his deal I like for the Red Sox. I like to see, as much as you look at their division in the AL East, and the Blue Jays and the Yankees are kind of going off here, looking like real World Series contenders. Red Sox aren't that. They're not at that level. So I like to see this move from a team like that, you know, still staying competitive and giving their fans something to root for. They're going to be a competitive team. They got a decent lineup, and he can play second, fill in there, or if they end up trading Andrew Benintendi, like I've seen rumored a couple times, he could slide into left field with Alex Verdugo and Hunter Renfroe. But I feel like he'll be playing second base. Not too much money in only 2 years, so they're not locking up a bunch of money in a guy for too long, and they didn't obviously make any trades that trade away a bunch of prospects because it's a free agent signing. So I love this move for them, and I want more teams that are, you know, lower level teams, lower market teams. Red Sox aren't, you know, small market, but teams that aren't necessarily in contention to win their division or make a World Series run. I like to see them make these kinds of moves, and I really respect that, so I like that move. Padres getting Jurickson Profar for 3 years, $21 million. This is basically just another year, $7 million added on to Kike's contract with the Red Sox. So not a bad move there. They added an extra year. They added the same AAV and just made him sign a little bit longer than Kike. He's another guy who could play second or the outfield like Kike. I don't think he could play shortstop as well as Kike could. But nice move for the Padres. They're going to probably use him more in the outfield, in my opinion. They got Jake Cronenworth at second base now. But a nice little move to keep that depth in their lineup, and I like it. Anthony Bass signed a 2-year, $5 million contract with the Marlins. They're in another very tough division, NL East, who seems to, everybody seems to be competitive in the NL East right now. So I like that move for them, getting a 2-year, $5 million contract. Not a lot of money, not a lot of years. Getting a good, solid reliever for the Marlins. And I think they're not playing too much into last year's 60-game season. They're not going to get ahead of themselves and start splurging and dropping money and locking up guys long term. They know they're still very young and they have time, as much as they had a very good season last year. So I think they're going to kind of use this next year to fill out and see how their team really is in a full season of playing. So I think that's a good move for them there. Ryan Zimmerman, Mr. Nationals, going back to the Nationals on a 1-year, $1 million contract. Not a lot of years, not a lot of money. Like the move. Josh Bell will be at first base for the Nationals, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a universal DH. So Ryan Zimmerman probably won't play a whole lot, but I do like this move. I think it's a very respectable, loyalty move, and I like it for the Nationals. Still brings a lot to the table, Ryan Zimmerman, and so like that. Cubs, Austin Romine signs for 1 year, $1.5 million. He's going to be their backup catcher as they have Wilson Contreras, but nice little, just depth move for the Cubs there. They don't seem to be going out and going crazy. The next day, January 23rd, we have one small move here that is of any notability, and that is Garrett Richards signing a 1-year, $10 million contract with the Red Sox. Boston gets a nice starting pitcher here. I like G. Richards a lot, and he's been pretty average his whole career, minus injuries. He pitched pretty well for the Padres, and I think this is a nice little move for the Red Sox to get a little more depth in their starting pitching. Starting pitching and bullpen, if they brought that up, they still have a pretty decent lineup with the left side of their infield. They got some young guys that are going to be in their infield, as well as Dahlback and Michael Chavis, I don't know how to say that. And then Kike in their outfield, still got JD Martinez. So I like this move a lot for the Red Sox. I feel like if you're a Red Sox fan, you probably do too. The next day we have a big trade as the Yankees get Jameson Taillon from the Pirates. Don't sleep on this man. I do think he will end up at the end of the year being their 2 or 3 pitcher in that rotation. I think he could be the second best pitcher in that rotation. And, he was the second overall pick the year before Garrett Cole was to the Pirates. He's a beast. He's overcome a lot of adversity with testicular cancer, different injuries, and just, overall making it to the show and being a professional athlete. He's a beast. He's got really good stuff. I think he will do very well there. As much as I'm not a Yankees fan or root for the Yankees, I'm rooting for him to do well. They traded, though, got to talk about the other side. Pirates got back 4 prospects. Not going to go super in depth in them. I can't even pronounce 2 of their names. I will for sure butcher them. So we're going to skip right over that. But they did get 4 prospects. Pirates are getting their prospects for the guys they're trading. So that's good. Nationals signed Brad Hand. I was really hoping the Angels were in on him. But the last thing I saw before he signed was Nationals and Mets. He signed a 1-year, $10.5 million contract. And I think that is super, super deserved. Not too bad contract there for him. Seemed from what I read that he wanted 2 things: to have a shot at being the closer or being the closer, and wanted to play in Washington. And so, Mets were kind of screwed on that last one. You can't really offer him to play in Washington as they are a New York team. So that did not work out for them. Nationals got a really good guy to kind of close out the last inning in their bullpen. Pablo Sandoval, minor league contract to the Braves. Not a huge, move there. Next day, the only move of any notability or notoriety is Adam Ottavino was traded from the New York Yankees to the Boston Red Sox, along with Frank Herman and $850,000. This is just the Yankees, clearing some payroll. Let Tommy Canley go. Adam Ottavino is traded to the Red Sox, division rival. So I don't know what they're doing with their bullpen. Maybe they have different moves in mind. Maybe they have another reliever in mind. I don't know. But that brings us to today, and that is January 26th, 2021, and we have a plethora of moves here. We have a lot of moves here. I'm going to start off with the smaller ones and work our way up. So we're going to jump right into Wilson Ramos, 1-year, $2 million contract to the Detroit Tigers. I'm not going to talk a lot about the Detroit Tigers as they are the Detroit Tigers, but I do like this move. Bringing in a catcher to a team that needs one. Not a huge move, not anything too big, but 1 year, $2 million. Not a lot of years, not a lot of money. I like it. Next move we have here is Freddie Galvis is going to the Baltimore Orioles on a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. This is just to fill in the space as Jose Iglesias was traded to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and so they just, they needed a shortstop. He's cheap, he can play, and that's why he's there. Next we have the Indians, who signed second baseman Cesar Hernandez back for a 1-year, $5 million deal. And I like this move a lot. I think he is a super underrated player. When I was doing the free agent predictions in the beginning of the year, I was seeing a lot of stuff about Colton Wong, super high. And Cesar Hernandez kind of missed out on a lot of even the top 50 lists. So I like this move a lot. And he's, they're very similar when I looked at their stats, almost identical last year and very similar in other years. So I think Colton Wong's better, don't get me wrong. But he's not that far behind, and I think, very deserving contract. Not too bad there for the Indians. Next we have on the list Andrelton Simmons, who is no longer an Angel, as you know, because I just said Jose Iglesias signed with the Angels, or was traded to the Angels. Will be a Twin next year for 1 year, $10.5 million. I like this move a lot for the Twins. They had a very good defense, one of the best defenses in baseball last year. Now they bring in arguably the best defensive shortstop in the league. To go along with Byron Buxton, who's leading their center field as a very good defensive center fielder. So 2 really good defensive players now in the middle of their field, as well as being almost like, captains of the outfield, captain of the infield, leading that charge defensively. Very nice pickup for the Twins. Next, we have Marcus Semien going to the Blue Jays on a 1-year, $18 million contract. I love this move for the Blue Jays. They have now brought in George Springer, who's an MVP caliber center fielder, one of the best in the game, and now they brought in Marcus Semien to play second base, who was, is a shortstop but is going to play second base from what I've read, who was 3rd in the MVP voting 2019, the last full season we had. He was, just a stud. So not too much into last year is what I'm putting, I'm not putting too much faith into last year, putting more of my faith into, what these guys have done in several years, and I think Marcus Semien is a beast. They could have just added 2 guys that could be in a very high contention for an MVP. So you add 2 bats like that, you can't tell me this team just got a whole lot better. The lineup is scary good. It is, another right-handed bat, which goes along with a lot of their other right-handed bats. you know, and maybe would have been cool to see a lefty get, you know, added to that roster. But you can't be mad about adding Marcus Semien, especially for 1 year, $18 million. You're not locking him up very long, and maybe a little higher AAV. I don't even think it's that high. I've seen that argument though, and if it is, it's because it's 1 year. You know, you lock up a guy for 1 year, you're not putting as much of a security in that contract, so long term. So you know, you got to pay a little more. The last signing, which wasn't in time, the last signing we're going to talk about is the biggest one. Another one of the big 5 free agents going into this offseason has signed. The arguably best catcher in baseball, I believe he is. JT Realmuto is going back to Philadelphia on a 5-year, $115.5 million contract. Don't forget that last $500,000. It counts. So he's going back to Philly. I like this move a lot for the Phillies. I like to see them competing. I think baseball is much better when the Phillies are, you know, good. And they locked up a lot of money in a long-term deal with Bryce Harper. They've made some moves. I think, you know, this makes sense. You got to keep that foundation strong. Aaron Nola, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Rhys Hoskins, in my opinion. You got to keep that all strong for when these younger guys, Alec Boehm, Mickey Moniak, Spencer Howard, all those guys come up. You got to have that foundation built with already veteran players. So I love this move for the Phillies. I don't think they're that far out from being a super good team, but I do think this you know, doesn't make them any better than last year technically, because they're just re-signing him essentially. But it does, you know, keep them from, you know, going down and getting any worse than they were last year. So I like this move, and at least it's going to be, you know, a bloodbath. But like this move a lot. So that is it for my free agent recap so far. It seems that Tommy La Stella is going to sign with the San Francisco Giants, but I haven't seen a contract or anything 100% confirming that. So we'll have to see next time. But I'm going to be trying to keep these up to date, you know, pretty, you know, on time, and not have too much time in between where we get a big lump of contracts like this in one video. I will be better about that, I promise. And I've seen the uptick in subscribers lately, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll have videos out very shortly, and I'll see you guys very soon. Later.